And here we find the slumbering beast in her native wild habitat, laying quite comfortably ensconced in her bed, awaiting the day. The question is, do we disturb the beast? If you can see her claws and her paws and her jaws with her shiny teeth, I don't know if we want to disturb our slumbering, vicious beast. Perhaps we should. Oh, and maybe not. I think we might get a kiss from our slumbering beauty this morning. Maybe we should go read a book about a slumbering beauty instead, and let Millie work on her beauty rest. Okay, so we left the beastie sleeping in her lair, and I found the perfect book for us. It's called Snoring Beauty, and it's written by Bruce Hale. And this book is very similar to the tale of Sleeping Beauty. So let's see if you guys can see the similarities. Snoring Beauty. Okay. Long ago, about 7 p.m. Fairy Standard Time about 602 years ago, last Friday at 7 p.m. Fairy Standard Time to be exact, the childless King Glutinous and his wife Queen Esophagus got lucky at last. "A baby girl," Queen Esophagus cried. "I'll eat to that," said King Gluttonous. For the rest of us, peasants and milkmaids and frogs, it was business as usual. Yada yada, hippity hop. Hippity hop. The king and the queen threw a big wingding for their daughter's christening. They invited every fairy from far and wide. But wouldn't you know it, if they left one out, this really cranky fairy named Bebo, who was off hosting a garlic festival. On christening day, the baby girl was named Princess Drachmina Lofresca Malvolio Margarine. Poor little tadpole. She smiled and cooed anyway. The dining hall bulged with lords and ladies, and up at the main table with the king and the queen sat 7 of the funkiest fairies you've ever seen. Hexus and Blexus, Nostraline and Umpadine, Phlebidus and Tintinitis, and Fred, who wasn't really a fairy, but no one had the heart to tell him. Silly fairies. Just as they began a round of rude fairy songs, the king clapped his hands. "Time to bless the baby!" "Eh?" said sorry, I'm going to mess that name up. Tintinitis, who was half deaf. "Slime with flesh and gravy? No thanks, I'll be back in a twinkle." And she waddled off. One by one, the fairies shuffled past to bless the Princess Drachmina Lofresca Malvolio Margarine, Marge for short. "She will be the most beauteous maiden in the land," said Hexus. "She'll be the wittiest," said Blexus. And on, "Best dancer, blah, 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 blah. Best singer, blah, 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 blah. Nicest penmanship, blah, 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 blah. Yada, yada, hippity hop." Until... bam! The door blew open, and there stood Bebo the fairy, the stinky fairy. She looked like trouble, and she smelled like garlic. "So sorry I'm late," she snarled sweetly. "The carrier pigeon must have eaten my invitation." She stuck her big bazoo into the crib and barked, "When this babe turns 16, she'll be run over by a pie wagon and die." Tintinitis returned just at that moment. "Eh? What's that?" she said. "She'll turn into a dragon and fly?" "Die!" snapped Bebo. "Spy!" said Tintinitis. "Die!" shouted the garlicky one. "Oh my," said Tintinitis. With a grumble and a growl, Bebo blasted off. Tintinnitus turned to King Gluteus and Queen Esophagus. She could not undo Bebo's gift, but she could bamboozle it. My blessing is that, instead of turning into a dead dragon... But Bebo said, the king began. Your daughter will become a sleeping dragon, Tintinnitus continued. And one day she'll be awakened by, a prince? Asked the queen hopefully. A quince? Said the fairy. Good idea. And poof, she was gone. A quince? First thing the next day, King Gluteus banned all pie wagons from the kingdom. In fact, he banned all pies, even mud pies. That should stop the curse, said the king. Let them eat cake, sang the queen. Years hopped along like a toad with arthritis. Princess Marge blossomed and grew, and as she grew, she became kind and beautiful and sweet and clever. And as the fairies promised, Marge could sing like a nightingale and dance like sunlight on the water. Sew a wedding dress blindfolded, make a chocolate cake from dirt and rocks, and build a house in a single day. Yada yada, hippity hop. The fairies forgot just one thing. She was too perfect. Nobody wanted to play with a girl who could do everything twice as well as they could. Princess Marge was lonely. The day the princess turned 16, an old woman in a wagon rolled up to the castle. Let me in, she pleaded. I bring a yummy, nummy treat for the princess. The young guard spied a wagon load of pastries round his wheels. A sweet smell made his belly rumble. Yummy, nummy, indeed. And after so many years, he didn't know a pie from a pollywog. The guard opened the gates. The wagon trundled inside, and at that very moment, what are the odds, I ask you? Marge was crossing the road to the cake shop. The street was steep, and the wagon wobbled, and before you knew it, the pie wagon swerved and crunched over her foot. Yow! Cried Princess Marge. And just as Tintinnitus foretold, alabam! Marge turned into a dragon. And alabeep! She fell asleep. Now, legend says that the whole castle conked out too. Yeah, right. Here's what really happened. The sleeping dragon princess began to snore. Squeak, snore, snore, squeak, snore. And besides being the fanciest dancer and the best cake baker in all the kingdom, Princess Marge was, naturally, the loudest snoring dragon. Squeak, snore, snore, squeak, snore. Did everyone rush out to congratulate Marge on her perfect snores? They did not. No one comforted her enchanted sleep. The dragon princess dreamed lonely dreams. Poor princess dragon. Days passed and no one could sleep with all the racket and ruckus. Those with carriages visited far-off kingdoms, and those without wore earplugs and shouted. The king did what kings always do. He made a proclamation. The proclamation reads, King Gluteus wants you to break the curse and awaken his sleeping daughter with a quince. Use of quince to be determined by applicant. The reward, half the kingdom, the princess's hand in marriage, and a set of elf-made garden furniture. Employees of castle are not eligible, and if princess awakens but remains a dragon, tough luck. You still have to marry her. Offer not valid in the kingdoms of Smorg, Spiffle, and Quag. Void where prohibited. Men came to test their luck, and with brass and bluster and bright ideas, they tried to awaken the dragon princess. One spooned quince curry between her lips. Marge snored on. One tickled her with the leaves of a quince tree. Squeak-honk, she-honk, squeak-honk, she-honk. Marge snored on. One pelted her with ripe quinces. Close but no cigar. Marge snored on. Months passed, suitors came and suitors went. They sang quince songs and baked quince pies. They told quince jokes and they sighed quince sighs. They built a quince alarm clock that squirted jam and jelly. They made a quince-filled rubber ball to bounce upon her belly. But nothing worked. Yada yada hippity hop. Marge snored on. Then one day, a dusty young man clip-clopped into town. "What's that awful noise?" he asked the milkmaid. "What?" she shouted. "I can't hear you. I'm wearing earplugs." And then she took them out. "I said, what's that noise?" bellowed the man. "No need to shout," said the milkmaid. And she told him Marge's sad, sad story. The man studied the dragon princess. She was pretty cute for a dragon. And he timed her snores. Squawk, she, ooh, squawk. He leaned into the blast, ears ringing. Squawk, shoo. His hair blew back, but he puckered up. Squawk, shoo. And then, smack, blink. Those dragon eyes popped open, and yada, 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 hippity hop. Marge's scales melted and her tail shriveled, and she shrank back into a human girl again. "Are you a wizard?" she asked the man. "Well, golly, no. I'm a prince," he said. "Prince Quince, to be exact." Well, the king kept his word, and in 2 shakes of a frog's flipper, the prince and the princess got hitched. This time, all the fairies in the land were invited, and the kingdom whooped it up with a hey, naughty, naughty, and a hot cha-cha. "Do you love me?" asked the princess. "With all my heart," said the prince. "Even though I'm the best at everything?" Prince Quince smiled. "Honey, nobody's perfect." And at last, the newlyweds tiptoed off to their chambers, where they whispered sweet nothings, and they drifted off to sleep. Later that night, something awakened the prince. Squawk-shee! Squawk-shee! Prince Quince sighed. He kissed his wife's cheek, stuffed some earplugs into his ears, and rolled over. And despite the truly royal ruckus, they lived happily and noisily ever after. The end. Well, that was a really fun story, and I will tell you that the beastie that sleeps on my bed doesn't sleep quite that bad. Shall we see if she's awake yet? Millie! Millie! Where are you, Millie? Are you awake? Millie! Oh, here she is. Come on, girl. Come on. What a good girl. Come up. Come on. Yay! Is it time to get up? Yay! No sweet snoring for my sleeping beauty. I love you. Yes. Oh. Mwah. Yeah, she didn't turn into a princess. But we can always try. Oh, now you're going to come up, huh? Yes. Aw, we love you too, Millie. All right, everybody, have a great day. Oh, I'm getting kisses too. Thank you. We'll see you, everybody. Bye-bye.